What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Randy here with RTS Mobile Gaming, bringing you an absolutely dynamite video today. We are playing the Lord of the Rings Rise to War, and in today's video, we are talking about the Alchemist Elite abilities, folks. These guys have some phenomenal abilities. We will also be talking about the Berserker Elite abilities, okay? So this is going to be an Uruk-Hai focused build. You know what? Maybe we'll even throw snipers in there while we're at it. Why not? This will be an Uruk-Hai focused Elite unit build. Get excited. Here we go. So now, Alchemists have some of my favorite elite abilities in the game, and I'll tell you why right now. First, their Tier 1 elite ability is called Light Armor. This is the same skill that Cataphracts and Knights inherently have, okay? And this is going to reduce the damage you receive from melee units by 15%. This is absolutely enormous because Alchemists have almost no defense and a very small health pool. They're essentially squishier than a lot of ranged units. So the Alchemists having the light armor ability, which will reduce the damage they receive by 15% from melee, is very strong. Okay. However, you know me, I am the damage king. Everything I do, I like to say the best defense is a good offense. So of course, I'm going to look to the next Tier 2 elite ability called Significant Assault. Now, let me just start off by saying that this is one of the best skills in the game. Okay. Especially for an evil unit, because evil commanders have an enormous amount of madness and anti-heal, okay? If you are fighting an enemy that is afflicted by stun, madness, or anti-heal, you are going to be dealing 30% higher damage. There are 3 different units in the game right now that have Significant Assault as an elite ability, okay? Alchemists are going to be making fantastic use of them because, as we already know, Alchemists are one of the highest damage units in the game. They can be very easily countered with an anti-burn damage chest or with a high alert ability, but if you're not using high alert and you're not using anti-burn damage chest, you are going to get absolutely smashed by an Alchemist. It just is what it is. They're one of the easiest units in the game to counter and one of the easiest units in the game to lose to if you don't counter them, okay? So Significant Assault is fantastic. It is going to unlock enormous potential in commanders where previously there wasn't as much potential. You're going to see a lot more use of Sauron with Alchemist and his Madness ability plus Enfeeble. That's going to be a 40% increased damage from Enfeeble plus 30% increase in damage from Significant Assault, okay? Plus whatever damage bonus he's going to give from his amount of focus, right, from his R0 tree. So he is going to be increasing Alchemist damage astronomically. He also has an anti-heal. Sauron with Alchemist is going to become a big deal, okay? So is Alchemist with Gandalf. Gandalf has a guaranteed stun in round 1 against 2 enemies. He has a stun in round 3, 6, and 9 as well, okay? So you're going to see a lot of theory crafting coming from this skill. This is one of the most interesting skills that the devs have added to the game for the elite skills. And one of the other reasons is you're going to see a lot more use of on-hit application from weapons that apply madness or that apply anti-heal, okay? You're going to see a lot more weapon applications of crowd control to trigger Significant Assault, right? So it's just... This unlocks a lot of unique combinations. Adune, right? She already gives 21% damage to her units. She gives an anti-heal to the whole battlefield. But that could be a double-edged sword because now you are opening your own units up to being assaulted significantly. So it's just super interesting. These elite abilities have really opened up a large, significant skill cap increase in the PvP, and this game already has probably one of the highest skill cap PvP games for any base builder I've ever played, right? And I've been playing base builders for 10, 12 years, so I can tell you right now, nothing compares to this game already, and now you have these elite abilities that are interchangeable, and you can switch around every 48 hours. It's crazy. So this is a strong ability. Next, okay, another interesting ability, Protracted War. Now, this is going to, basically, if you're running 5,000 Alchemists, okay, you may see a 4,000 heal nuke after you take 6 instances of damage. It's not amazing, it's not terrible, it's interesting, it's not worth using over the Significant Assault, okay? So let's just get that out of the way right now, okay? And of course, the Tier 3 elite abilities, all Uruk-Hai races share the same 3 abilities. You can either give your own unit, right? This only applies to one unit. So you can either give your Alchemist 10% attack, which will pair very nicely with significant assault. Okay, I would recommend the attack. You can give them 10% poison resistance in case you need to resist poison for some reason. And you can reduce their conscription and hiring cost time by 10%. All right, so obviously I'm going to tell you to get the Uruk-Hai attack for 10%. And then I'm going to tell you to get significant assault for an additional 30% in case the enemy has any sort of control on their units, okay? That is the Alchemists. Enormous potential. Next, we're going to talk about the Berserkers, and then we'll get onto the Snipers, all right? Get excited. Like and sub, by the way. Love you long time. Mwah. Here we go. Berserkers are also super duper interesting. They have some unique abilities as well. The toned body is I don't know how I feel about the toned body, okay? I'd rather reduce the damage I take by 10% than reduce the amount of dead soldiers I have at the end of the battle by 10%. But I can see a use for this. For example, last season, you probably saw me do some videos with my Armored Sauron running my Berserker Retaliate build, and I literally just would win battle after battle. I literally fought until I ran out of troops. So this particular skill would have probably allowed me to fight another 3 or 4 battles before I ran out of troops. So there is a use for it. I just don't like it as much as some of the other abilities, okay? Next, we have the parry ability. This thing is interesting. This is going to have a chance to reduce the damage you receive and increase the damage that you deal by 30%. This is really interesting. It's highly defensive, but it's also a nice offensive ability. Mathematically, it's going to basically reduce the damage you take by about 10% and increase the damage you deal by about 10%. And it can trigger things. I'm hoping it can trigger multiple times in one round, but I haven't quite tested it yet. Okay, so parry is very interesting. And then here we have Protracted War again, which is the same thing that the Alchemists have in this tree. This is going to make them a little bit tankier. Now, the question is, would you rather run Protracted War and have troops that basically get healed and live to fight later rounds in the battle? Or would you rather use Toned Body and have less losses at the end? Personally, I would say Protracted War is stronger than Toned Body. I would rather get a heal in the early rounds of the fight and then have more troops alive later to kill the enemy. But parry is very interesting as well. You know me, I am a damage guy. Everything I do is damage, damage, damage. So of course I'm going to tell you, to pick parry. This is going to be a defensive damage mitigation plus an offensive damage bonus, okay? So it could be very, very nice. Now, that is interesting. Again, I'm going to run the damage ability Uruk-Hai attack in the Elite 3 tree, okay? Just shift my mic here. I just sat up. I was leaning back a little too far. Next, we're going to talk about the snipers, guys. The snipers are crazy interesting as well. These guys are super duper unique. Here we go with the solid metal. This is going to reduce the damage they receive from ranged units. Now, if you're aware of the snipers' inherent abilities, they already have the light armor ability, so they already reduce the melee damage they receive by 15%. So solid metal is now going to reduce the range damage they receive by 15%. It's not a bad ability. It's interesting. It makes them much more tanky, which is nice. However, of course, we have this charged attack here in the Tier 2 section, which is super interesting. Now, March Wardens and a few other units also have the charged attack ability. The charged attack ability is going to increase the damage you deal by 35%, and decrease it by 1/8 each time damage is dealt. So basically, it'll slowly decrease over the course of the fight, but it's going to give you enormously higher damage in the first couple rounds, which is fantastic. Snipers already have a huge damage bonus against ranged, so, right, I believe it's 25% damage bonus against ranged. You combine that with charged attack, and here we go, right? Good offense is the best defense. Why reduce the damage you take from ranged when you can just run charged attack and kill them all? How does that sound, huh? That's pretty good. I need help, I know. All right, the other ability is a lethal strike. This is interesting. I think it's a little bit underpowered for a elite tier 2 ability. It's going to basically mean that normal attacks will cause the enemy target to receive additional damage when they get healed. So if you're fighting against like an Eowyn or a Galadriel or a Gandalf or somebody that just causes a large amount of healing, this could be a very high damage output ability, but it's extremely situational. How often are you going to see someone that heals, other than those 2 or 3 commanders, someone that heals more than once every 2 or 3 rounds, right? I guess Theoden, right? Theoden is going to cause that. So theoretically, if you are applying the lethal strike debuff to the enemy, every time they get healed, they should take a damage nuke of 30%. It's not that bad. It's interesting. Personally, I would rather run charged attack because it's going to be a 35% damage application at the start. It slowly declines, which is fine, right? You're going to decline by what, 4% per hit, right? Slowly scaling down. So this seems more consistent and higher damage in the first 2 rounds. Anyways, I would just go with charged attack unless you know you're fighting against someone who does like 2 or 3 heals per round. In that case, that has its use, okay? So just to recap, guys, run the Alchemists, run the Significant Assault ability, okay, with their Uruk-Hai attack. I would use Uruk-Hai attack on all 3 of the units to increase each unit's damage by 10%. This does not affect the whole army. Your whole army is not going to have a 30% damage bonus. It only affects the 1 unit that it is selected on, okay? So thank you for watching, guys. This is a recap of the Uruk-Hai Elite Unit skills. Thank you for watching. I love you a long time. Randy out.